Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is just about 7 months old, and it was a mighty release when it came out earlier this May, where everyone around the world was making crazy contraptions and building all kinds of crazy monstrous vehicles and objects. It was actually kind of insane that everywhere you went, you would find something new online. And it's been fun reading developer interviews to find out more about this game, and there's been a new one as well that kind of gives us a little bit of a taste as to what to expect in the future of Zelda, and not a whole lot, but it does give us something to talk about for sure. Well, Aonuma and Fujibayashi was also interviewed yet again from Game Informer about the game, about DLC, about some specific mechanics of the game like Ultra Hand and other things, including the future and some other extra games that could be coming. So we're gonna go over this and kind of talk about the future of Zelda ourselves. The first thing that's really of importance here is that the interviewer asked about Ultra Hand and asked about the potential of it ever making a return in the future Zelda title, because so many people loved that mechanic. And pretty much to say things in a short wrap up, both of the producers, Aonuma and Fujibayashi, both said pretty much no, we're not going to be returning to Ultra Hand. Ultra Hand is the mechanic of Tears of the Kingdom. It's what makes Tears of the Kingdom Tears of the Kingdom. So if they were to bring that back, it would have had to be something Tears of the Kingdom related. For instance, like DLC. And Fujibayashi actually states that no, there's not going to be any DLC in this game because, like with Breath of the Wild, they actually knew that there was extra stuff that they wanted to add, that they didn't feel like they completed everything. And that's what also led to Tears of the Kingdom, because it started off as DLC. And then they said, you know what, let's make a full game based on this idea, which a lot of it is Ultra Hand. For those of you still holding out for a glimmer of hope of seeing Tears of the Kingdom DLC still, it's not going to happen. They have actually completed everything they wanted to do, which also probably hints towards the future, probably saying that there's not going to be a third game in this Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom trilogy. Like, there's just going to end with these two games, and that's, in my opinion, honestly how they should handle this, because they've done everything. There's nothing else that they feel like they need to do with this world, with these characters, with this story, and it's time to probably move on to something new. Of course, they are then asked about a direct sequel, and Aonuma states that there probably most likely will not be any sequel, because at the end of the day, it will be a sequel to a sequel. And they see Tears of the Kingdom as the apotheosis or final form for The Legend of Zelda in this era. So that means, they've done everything that they could have done with this world. And I completely agree. As Tears of the Kingdom was extremely fun, it feels like everything that they try to change and shift with the world, it was some great little changes, but still it felt like that same world. And a lot of us probably didn't have that same feeling and vibes of exploring new regions like we did with Breath of the Wild compared to Tears of the Kingdom. And it looks like Nintendo wants to get back at that point of, new findings and new exploration in a new world, which just makes sense. They've done everything that they could. It doesn't look like they're interested in a sequel to a sequel whatsoever. Now, Aonuma and his team has been asked multiple times about what they want to do next, and a lot of the time they just continuously say that they want to move on to something new, that they want to move on to what seems to be a new world, a new retelling, probably a new art style, a new Link, a new Zelda, a new Hyrule, and honestly, that just sounds like the way to go, whether it be a Wind Waker style of Link, or whether it be a younger style again, or an older style even, who knows. But I would love to see what they would do in the future. But before we dive into that, there was one last question, and of course they had to ask this question because there's just so many rumors and stuff surrounding this important topic. But yes, the question goes, thank you both so much for your time. I've heard about how sometimes questions about games can inspire them to be made. So I selfishly want to ask you about a modern Ocarina of Time remake, but I have a feeling I know the answer I'll get. They both laugh, and Aonuma states, no comment. Now, this on paper might seem like a normal answer, but actually it's kind of interesting because Nintendo normally doesn't word things like this. They don't just say no comment for the most part. Sometimes they'll say, we don't have that in development, or yeah, we have no plans for working for Ocarina of Time at the moment, or something along those lines. And this seems like almost as if Aonuma got caught off guard and was just like, no comment. No comment. There was no mention of, yeah, we're not working on this thing. There's no plans for this right now. Right now, we're not thinking about the future or anything like that. I mean, they've done that before. Remember, at the end of one of the orchestral concerts, Aonuma came on stage and was actually asked about Skyward Sword HD from one of the fans or something like that. And I remember that he stated, there's no plans for that right now, but maybe if you guys ask enough, it'll happen or something like that. But yeah, we're definitely not working on that right now. And literally like the next summer, Skyward Sword HD happen. Now, did the fans actually cause this to happen and produce that quick? Maybe. There wasn't a whole lot changed with the game, but like, yeah, I mean, at this point, there's definitely no reason at all to believe anything that the Zelda team says, because they've always been working on something behind the scenes. So there's a very good chance that Ocarina of Time very well is being worked on as a remaster for next year, or maybe, sometime in the future. But with all the rumors and everything pointing towards it, it probably is happening. What about the next brand new original Zelda game? Well, it's probably already in the planning phases and probably even starting development right now. I would not be shocked from Nintendo, especially with the new console around the horizon. They'll probably want to get the game out within the first 2 years, maybe even first 3 years of that console, so I'm sure this thing is being worked on as we speak. I made this video before, but I kind of just want to recap on what I think they should do and what I think the best direction they should take Zelda. A lot of people are saying, what in the world are they going to do? You know, you already have this vast land of Hyrule, and we've had it in 2 different games now. How in the world could they make another game that's open world like this and have us exploring something that's unique? Well, no 2 Hyrules are the same. They might have same named locations for the most part, but they all look drastically different from one another. They don't feel the same. The locations just look and feel different. So they can definitely do something along those lines. A brand new Hyrule, a brand new type of Hyrule that looks different, locations are different, it's later on in the timeline or earlier on in the timeline. Who knows? They definitely could do something like this. But who says it has to be Hyrule? We have Zelda games that don't just primarily take place in Hyrule, like Koholint Island, for instance, or Termina from Majora's Mask. There's lots of different places that we could see. I mean, look at the railroad tracks and locations from Spirit Tracks, or maybe a flooded Hyrule like Wind Waker or Phantom Hourglass. There's so many things you can do to switch up the way the world looks. Just have a completely new looking Hyrule. I don't think they need to even come up with something like super creative like Divine Beast or anything like that. They could just bring back dungeons, like 7 dungeons scattered all over the world that actually are thematic and feel like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess days, you know what I mean? Remember the rumors that the Zelda team was also experimenting with like aliens, and that at first they were going to have Breath of the Wild have a major focus on aliens and UFOs and stuff? That'd have been so cool and really would have tied back to the roots of like Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time and stuff. So I would have loved to see something along those lines, and maybe that's something in the future, more of a futuristic Zelda with futuristic weapons and items and stuff like that would be so cool, and like aliens being the main villain, some type of weird space creatures that come to Hyrule. Instead of just Ganondorf or even Ganon himself, it's something completely different. That would be super interesting. I also think combat could be changed up a little bit, you know, obviously a little bit more than it is now. I feel like right now it's just swing sword and dodge, you know, doing the flurry rushes. I feel like that's something that could be evolved a little bit more for sure, and I think it would with the next evolvement of Zelda. I mean, you know, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were really focused on, you know, crafting weapons, at least for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, using the bow and quick time and stuff like that, and using your Sheikah Slate in order to, you know, engage in combat. So maybe next time around there'll be something else to actually upgrade how Link swings that Master Sword. I know it's probably impossible for Link to have like a Hyrule Warriors style of moveset. I'm not talking the same, you know, hack and slash style, but maybe something similar where he has like lots of weapon moves and lots of combo kits that you can perform, but who knows. Maybe something like Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, where the combat system is a lot of parrying, blocking at the right time, and just kind of moving and weaving with your opponent. I would love to see the shield actually be used a lot more for parries and quick times and stuff. Would be really awesome. Let's face it, whenever they decide to make this next Zelda game, it's going to be phenomenal, and it's going to probably be yet again another 10 out of 10, and especially with a new hardware under its sleeve, it might look absolutely beautiful. I think looking for new Zelda games is always super exciting because you don't know how they're going to look. You don't know what the art style is going to be. It probably won't even be cel shaded. I don't know if it's going to be more realistic, more cartoony like Wind Waker. Who knows? But it's something to always look forward to, and I think the Zelda team is in a beautiful spot for the future. They've tried the impossible. They tried something new and experimented with Breath of the Wild, and it granted them one of the greatest video games of all time. So them trying even more new things is probably a guarantee to happen. I think it's just finally time to say goodbye to both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because that world seems to be done now. I know I say this all the time, and I know it's a lot, but Nintendo, bring back an open world, but with an also alternate universe for that open world that you can explore. So like technically 2 maps. They don't have to be as big as Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but two pretty decent sized maps that you can explore open world, and they kind of go along with each other, you know, like a parallel universe world, obviously like the Dark World. I love the Dark World. I think it's so cool. I think it's so awesome. Being able to explore one in like full, you know, open world joy would be amazing. And yes, I know we had the depths in Tears of the Kingdom, but they're just nothing compared to the Dark World. I mean, come on, it'd be so awesome in an open world style. But rather we're attacking aliens or attacking Ganondorf again, whether it's a new form of Hyrule or a new world completely, I am very excited to see where Zelda is going to go next and where they're going to surprise us. So thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below and let me know what you want to see from the next Zelda game. Are you also excited to potentially be getting a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake? And if so, what changes or what things would you want them to keep the same? What would you want it to look like? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.